The dry spell is over, and there's things on our screens again. We've watched stuff, and now it's time to review the previews. And I'm not ready for this. So, explain the drink, Stavros, while I cram like I've got a term paper due.
Well, we are drinking a beverage we have dubbed the Andorian Blues. It's blue Curacao, gin, vodka, and you can make it with lemonade, but mine has sparkling water and lemon juice in it. And it may or may not be an existing cocktail, but you know what? We're calling it the Andorian Blues. And it's actually pretty tasty. The lemon juice in mine gives it a tartness that kind of takes the edge off of all the booze.
Indeed, it is a unique drink from the famed... I'm just making stuff up. It's an Aqua Velva renamed. What am I saying here? Jeez.
What are you talking about? It's straight from Andoria.
Yeah, straight from Andoria. Totally.
Speaking of the dearth of news, we haven't had an episode released in a while, and it turns out that it's hard to make this show when we know nothing about anything and no information's coming out, and we just kind of sat on our hands and we're like, well, I guess we're not making the podcast for a while. But you know what? San Diego Comic-Con came around and dumped a ton of stuff. So hooray, we're back.
Indeed. So where are we starting tonight?
Well, before we get to Comic-Con, we have a couple little pieces of news. So, as I mentioned, it's been a little dry as far as the news goes, but let's talk about some of the tiny little stuff that's been dropping before Comic-Con. And I'm going to be putting all the links of all these things in the episode description, so you listeners can click along and see what we're talking about. But the first one is the Season 3 poster. And hilariously, it's not the teaser poster. There's a teaser poster with Peanut Hamper. That's not what I'm talking about. It's the actual Season 3 poster. And it's modeled after The Search for Spock, that movie poster. And I'm glad that they are continuing on with the motif. Kind of curious to see what's going to happen once they get into the really high, Final Frontier and stuff like that. But I hope they continue on with it.
Well, I mean... there were posters for the Final Frontier. I don't know if you're aware of this. There's been posters for all of the movies. It's like a thing.
Yes.
It's a thing they do for movies.
They
make posters. I'm not sure you're aware of this.
Hold the phone. They do what now? They make marketing materials for movies to try and make money? That just seems crazy.
So I do want to make one little commentary on this. I mean, obviously, everything's a stand-in for, the original poster. But what's interesting, in the original poster, it was a Klingon bird of prey that was in the poster. But originally, the Klingon bird of prey was actually supposed to be a stolen Romulan vessel.
Ooh.
And in this poster, this appears to be a knockoff of a Romulan vessel seen in...
It's a Nemesis.
Yes,
it's from, right?
Nemesis.
The Valdor class.
Yeah, the Valdor.
Yes. It's the thing that gets me about this poster. Well, first of all, it's super cool. It's got Rutherford's face in the back, and Rutherford's my boy. But it continues the nonsense of the Search for Spock poster, where there are 3 beams of different colors being shot from the Romulan ship, and the original poster is exactly like it, and I do not understand it. But the fact that they stole it is just great.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I'm enjoying it.
You can't do a cheap knockoff if you're not willing to knock off.
Are they all weapons? Is the Cerritos shooting something back? It's unclear, but who cares? It's the reference.
Yes,
but I'm great. It's great. I live for this stuff. But let's talk about some other things. A mobile game was announced for Lower Decks. It's called Lower Decks: The Badgey Directive, and it's by the people that have made a bunch of other idle games. I think there's an Office one and maybe 1 or 2 other ones that these devs have made. That one's coming soon. If you're into mobile games. There is also a comic book series coming from IDW, that's comic book publisher. It once again it seems to be more TNG references. I think there's one cover with Boimler in a Sherlock Holmes outfit, which is clear TNG reference. So I've got those coming down the pipe. Are you a comic guy or?
I do. Yeah. I actually
yes.
read comics pretty regularly, but usually the Star Trek comics are incredibly hit or miss. Most of the Star Trek media is very, very hit or miss. They are traditionally not careful with their license.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious because I think these comics aren't even written by any of the people that are on the show, which it seems like could have been easily done. Maybe I'm not, like I said, I'm not really super into comics that much anyway. So maybe these are written by vets, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they can maintain the Lower Decks feel in a
Yeah, I don't know. Like, most of it looks like decent, but there's one cover with Mariner with a phaser and Boimler half dressed that just the artwork on it is so rough. And it kind of makes me worry.
Yeah, it's like clearly done by like they're imitating the art style of the show, but it's like not quite there, you know.
Yeah, I
don't know. I mean, we're kind of prejudging it a bit, but it, you know.
Hey, you know what?
Hopefully it's good.
There is an old saying, never judge a book by its cover, but I've always said that saying is crap. That is what the cover is there for. So you can prejudge it, know whether you want to read it or not.
You're right about that. But yes, those things are coming down the pipe. And they released a short clip from Season 3 on the Ready Room Will Wheaton hosted Star Trek After Show. And that clip is the Boimler on his vineyard clip. Boimler says that he doesn't make wine on his vineyard. He makes raisins because they're shriveled and hopeless, just like the Boimlers.
Absolutely loved that reveal. I love the whole, like, Boimler, like, on the Cerritos is the weird nobody likes guy that is, like, always, you know, the underdog. But then you see him on his vineyard, and he is, like, the ace dog, the top guy. Who,
the sexy man.
Yeah, who everybody's into. And, like, he doesn't even notice because he just hates being there so much. Oh.
And, you know, he says something like he's ready to get out of the vineyard there because it takes a while for the smell to get out of his hair. Yeah. And I was cast into a tailspin of doubt about the whole history of the purple hair. Because what if it's grapes? What if it's, like, grape stains or something? And he's not actually part alien.
Why would he be putting grapes in his hair?
He's... I don't know. He says the smell gets in his hair. Why? I mean, how does the smell get in his hair?
Oh my God, Stavros! What the hell, man? You think they like? Well, we got lots of grapes. Might as well use it as shampoo. What? Jeez, man.
Know, I'm just throwing it out there. You know, grapes are purple. His hair's purple.
I am taking your jump to conclusion, Matt, away.
You know, we'll see once more Boimler history is revealed.
Yes.
This clip came out before the Comic-Con news, and you were totally right, of course. It's Mariner is going to immediately go off the rails, and you forecasted this way back.
You know what, though?
When Season 2 was ending.
Anybody who has seen the series not predicting Mariner going off the rails, like, I would just question whether they've actually been paying attention.
You know, you're right about that. But I think that's it for all the little pieces of news. Let's get to the Comic-Con proper stuff. So there are a couple panels that we are going to talk about, little pieces of information we can get out of each one of these. And then, of course, they released the actual For Reals Season 3 trailer. And we're going to jump in and do a more shot-by-shot freeze-frame nerd analysis on that one. But we'll get to that last. But let's cover the panels first. So, like I said, the links are in the description. The first one is a short panel that Entertainment Weekly did with the cast of Lower Decks that was actually there. So it's McMahon, Jack Quaid, Tawny Newsome, Don Lewis, one or two other cast members as well. Not Eugene Cordero, he wasn't there. But they did drop a couple little interesting pieces of information. McMahon mentioned that there is an alien called Cranch, and that is an alien that tries to kill Boimler for a whole episode. And he says it's kind of like some kind of like reverse Tosk, if you recall that episode from DS9, where Boimler is kind of getting all gutsy and built up. And Cranch is like, please let me hunt you. And Boimler was like, okay.
They reference the whole say yes thing, right? Where you just say yes to everything. And it's all like, that is a terrible way to live your life. And I love the fact that they're doing
it really is.
An entire episode about it. Although I do kind of worry. They've like been building this thing up, you know, Cranch. And it's like, is this going to be a big misdirect? I really hope not.
It's hard to say. We've been... So, I mean, we talked about the Season 2 trailer back in the day. We got totally thrown for lots of loops there. I mean, we had no idea what was going on, even after our analysis. So, it's hard to say what exactly is happening. It's just all getting thrown together.
I'm just thinking about back to Rick and Morty, where they did this whole build-up to this villain that, you know, they were so excited to be bringing him into the series, and he's such a great villain, and they're so happy to be bringing him in. And then the episode comes, and the villain dies off screen. You never even see him alive. You just see his corpse. And it was such a powerful misdirect. I'm all like, you know, I'm wondering if this Cranch guy is going to turn out to be just some like minor character or something.
I think it's 100% possible. It could be like the whole Cranch thing is like a before the opening credits.
Yes.
Cold open type thing, and that's it. Maybe.
Could be.
It's not the whole episode. Totally could be. McMahon is totally screws with us like that. Totally possible.
Could be.
Well, let's see what else. Tawny Newsome loves the Earth outfits. She mentioned this in the Entertainment Weekly panel and in the Comic-Con Hall H panel. She goes on and on about how her jacket is reminiscent of like the Picard leather jacket from Insurrection. Tendy's got the Linda Hamilton jacket from Terminator 2. Rutherford's in this weird asymmetrical Jake Sisko style sweater, which is amazing / awful. And then Jack Quaid's character Boimler is in a vest, which is, as I recall, it's like a purple vest.
It's a purple vest. He has it's not even just a purple vest. He has a purple long sleeve shirt with a purple vest. It's got like stripes on it, like overlapping.
Yeah, it's like plaid.
Yeah, it's like a weird purple plaid. Like, I don't know what the deal with that is. He's on a grape farm. He's wearing purple. What the hell's the deal here?
I don't know. They're really riffing on. They really want to drive that purple thing home with the grapes and the hair and the outfit.
But you know, Rutherford's outfit is pure fire. Like, I want to get that outfit in real life. It's amazing.
You know that someone at conventions are going to show up wearing the Rutherford sweater, 100%.
Yeah, and if they make them for 7-foot-tall giants, I will probably buy one.
That would be amazing. Let's see, well, what else? Oh, yeah, they confirmed in the Entertainment Weekly panel that there is a Tendi Orion backstory episode. Episode 6 of this season, apparently.
Yeah, as long as it's as good as the last Tendi Orion reveal segment, totally on board for that.
It's weird, because that is apparently also the DS9 episode, which we're going to talk about more when we talk about the trailer.
I missed that.
Apparently it's the same episode. Yeah. They mentioned that it's the same one, so... Unclear with what that all means.
Well, that was apparently the episode that Mariner got left out of, and Newsom was very angry about.
Apparently she just peer pressured Mike McMahon to just rewrite part of the episode so Mariner could go back on the station.
Apparently.
Hilariously, Mike McMahon also confirmed that DS9 was also a former Mariner posting.
Yeah.
And we were, or at least I was convinced when we were watching the episodes that Mariner was posted on the Keto, which is that Olympic class that was docked at DS9 in the opening shot.
Yeah, so that is quite the surprise. Yeah. Did not see that coming. So apparently Mariner has spent most of her life on famous spaceships, as we've all established that she spent her childhood on the Enterprise D.
Yes, that is your theory, and you're sticking to it.
No, I don't think that's a theory. That's a fact.
Okay.
Aaron Facts, trademark, 2022.
There you go. Okay, well, I think that's all we can glean out of the Entertainment Weekly panel. So let's move on to the Hall H panel. You know, I gotta say, I was watching this on YouTube. A lot of softball questions. We're not going to cover those here, but what I do want to cover is something called Trek beef. And apparently every single one of the actors has some kind of Trek beef with its own theme song with Mike McMahon, and you know we just covered one of them, the Tawny Newsome Mariner not going on onto DS9. So they all have some kind of Trek beef. It was just funny to see. Yeah. They have a nice little chemistry there.
Yeah,
they all seem like Mike McMahon is their boss, and they just give him crap the entire time.
I gotta say, I definitely agree with Quaid's beef stance. If we never get the Quaid's beef stance, that's a really weird thing to say. If we do not get a
a beef stance, yes.
I feel like that is some just shitty version of American Kung Fu. Allow me to enter my beef stance.
Beef stance.
It's beef stance.
Form of
karate.
I love it.
Anyways, but I do agree with if we never get a fake advertisement for Boimler Valley raisins, I am just, I'm going to swear off the series forever.
So now, would you want the sweater that is the Rutherford Earth outfit, or like a T-shirt that has the, Boimler Valley Raisins logo on?
My question is, why are these two things mutually exclusive? There's lots of people who make nerd outfits. I can get both.
There's a graphic designer out there, I'm sure, that has made the logo already, so you can't discount that. But something else that came out of that panel is Dawn Lewis, Captain Freeman, does she kind of goes into a little bit of her audition process, she goes on, like they had to use fake names because they didn't know it was a Star Trek show, this and that. She did her supposedly Kirk/Cisco impression when she was doing it, and that was enough to get her the job. So it's kind of neat, getting a little backstory there. Apparently she also has some backstory with Nichelle Nichols, who you may know has recently passed away. So
yeah, I did not know that they were friends, and that's got to be super exciting to have this person that you looked up to and eventually became friends with, and then to continue on their tradition.
Yeah, completely. So that was kind of neat to get that backstory.
To go into a, not segue too much, it's kind of nice to see that discussion, and one thing that was never really said was to see just how much the world has changed from then to now, where
totally
Uhura was very much a important character, but also a token character, and it was a struggle to keep those people on the series back then. Whereas now, there's not even a second thought to that kind of casting.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Nice to see it. Nice little homage there. And what else? We got a little tidbit that they kind of gave McMahon some shit about not doing any voices, but apparently he does do a little bit of a placeholder Vulcan voice in one of the episodes. He doesn't say which one, and I can't even think of which one he's talking about, but kind of a neat little tidbit.
I'm betting it's Wage Douche.
Wage Douche?
Yeah, there's a lot of Vulcans in that.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Probably find somebody that had one line.
Could be.
Yeah.
Good for him for getting his voice immortalized. But yes, and they also cover the DS9 episode, which we're going to talk a little more when we do the trailer dissection, but it was kind of neat. They say that Jump to Sticks actually do show up. Of course, a fan favorite from DS9. And, quote, some familiar faces, which we already know one from the trailer. But I wonder who else they got to show up. Are you betting on additional guest stars from DS9?
Wait, we saw a familiar face? Oh, I know who you're talking about. All right, well, I'm not going to spoil it for, 10 minutes down the road in our podcast
Later.
When we're talking about it. You know what?
Yes.
I don't know. It's all going to depend on context of what their appearance is. The problem is most of the characters are moved on by this phase, I think Kira is still there. Doesn't she become the commander of the station after Cisco leaves or something?
Thing is, there's no hard canon, though. There's
no.
We've got, the story in Star Trek Online, for example, but, they've shown that they just trounce it.
I'm thinking of the novels, right? Ezri leaves DS9.
Sure.
Even at the end of the series, Garrick leaves to help his people. Bashir leaves. O'Brien's back on Earth teaching engineering. Worf is in Kronos as an ambassador. It's just who are you going to see? I hope it's Jake Sisko, personally. And I hope Rutherford is wearing the same outfit, and Jake Sisko is all like, hey, I've got that same shirt.
I love it. I've got 2 of those in my closet.
Doubt that
would be
happen.
Amazing. Other stuff. So they had Alex Kurtzman, who, as you may know, is basically the master and commander of all things Star Trek.
I did not know that. News to me.
Now you do. There's about 5 billion Star Trek shows on the air right now, and he kind of manages them all.
Whoa, buddy! I think your numbers of Star Trek episodes are off by several orders of magnitude.
I'm sticking with 5 billion. So
I feel like I would have noticed if every time I log into a streaming service, it's all Star Trek all the time. Which I like Star Trek.
Would you though?
But I think that would be a bit much for me. Thank you.
How dare you? There can never be enough Star Trek. Anyway, so he's a little interesting behind-the-scenes info. He says that every couple months, all of these showrunners for all the live shows get together and share what they're doing so they don't get in each other's way and they can do a little cross-pollination. Kind of interesting. I mean, because there's so many shows on the air, we got Prodigy, we got Picard, we got Lower Decks, we got Discovery. Which one am I missing? That's all of them, right?
So wait, what did you say? Discovery, Lower Decks, Strange New Worlds,
Picard.
Prodigy.
Oh, Strange New Worlds.
Picard.
Yes.
Wait, there's
That's
5 shows! I was right!
Yes.
You're off by several orders of magnitude. You just added a bunch of zeros. You're not even making up numbers. And you're intentionally doing it wrong.
I'm just waiting to see how many, how long you'll go on for about my addition of zeros, which apparently is quite a long time.
I do... So I have this dream, right, or this vision of I hope there are lore masters at the Star Trek production crew who are just like these super nerdy, way too into Star Trek guys. And when they have these meetings, they're like in the room and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna think."
It's like losing their minds.
Yeah, they're thinking. Some like producers like, "Yeah, we're thinking of doing episodes about this," and one of the Lord Masters is all like pushes up his glasses like, "Well, actually, you can't really have the Ferengi wielding bicarbonate sticks because bicarbonate was replaced by this other material." And I want to see that happen.
Judging from the way they phrased it, they just get all the showrunners in, and then they just like have like a free for all fencing match. There's no like moderator. They just get together and like duke it out. Like no one gets to use Cisco except for me.
I don't even want a moderator. I want like just like the nerds in the corner and all the like producers are just every time the nerds talk, they're just like, "Oh god, here they go." Well, in episode 13 of the original series, it was revealed that fencing was still a major sport.
I think it's the opposite of that. They've got like some intern looking up Memory Alpha, like in a panic, as like people are like arguing. It's like, "Oh shit, what is that?" And he like frantically searches Memory Alpha for whatever it is, Gorn weddings or whatever.
Yeah, I'm going to be perfectly honest though. I'm willing to bet that the lore nerds are probably not there, and it's probably like McMahon, who's just like telling the Picard showrunners like, "That doesn't fit. What are you guys doing?"
Yeah, I think that's very much what it is for sure. I love it. So what else? There was a fun question that came out. They took a couple audience questions right at the end, and some audience member asked about the difference between the Gorn in Strange New Worlds versus the Gorn in the Gorn wedding. If you recall the episode where Rutherford's implant keeps rebooting and then he just shows up at a Gorn wedding at one point.
Hashtag not all Gorn.
Hashtag not all Gorn. You know, they go on to say, Mike McMahon is like, there's centuries of difference, and you know what? Just because one is an alien ripoff, he didn't say that, but he heavily implied it, doesn't mean that all Gorn are scary going to burst out of your chest. So we just don't know enough about Gorn.
Yeah, and to say one thing, while I liked those episodes where the Gorn showed up in Lower Decks, in Strange New Worlds, yes. Definitely was not a fan of the redesign of the Gorn and their reproduction methodology.
Alienness.
Like, how does that become a advanced civilization? I feel like that's just on the road to failure. But that's neither here nor there. Let's focus on Lower Decks.
Yeah, not all Gorn. Hashtag not all Gorn. You need to tweet about that. Get on the Twitter account and tweet that.
I believe we've established that I am not allowed access to the Twitter account.
Yeah, we'll let you on just to tweet that one hashtag, and then that's it. But, speaking about the showrunner cross-pollination between the shows thing, there is a clip that I will, again, post in the show description about, it was during the Strange New Worlds panel, and a couple of the Lower Decks actors, Jack Quaid and Tanya Newsom, just popped on stage and we're like, "Hey guys, we're here and we're on your show, right?" And it was confirmed that there will be some kind of crazy Lower Decks Strange New Worlds crossover. That episode directed by Jonathan Frakes, so it's kind of like a crazy crossover time.
I am pleased that they got Jonathan Frakes as a director. That dude can do amazing work, and he has an incredibly wide range. Totally. Really looking forward to the episode, and Frakes being the one in charge, definitely a big reason for that. But I do want to comment on something. You seem to be convinced that this is going to be a Roger Rabbit-style episode.
I think it may be. But you know what? I rewatched the clip.
And you realized you're wrong?
Yeah, I may be wrong. Yeah. I might have been wrong about that. I think they will either all go to animation or all go live action or both. I'm not sure.
I think they're going to do both. There's going to be segments that are animation and segments that are live action. So I have two suppositions on how this may go. One is a potentially holodeck episode from starting in Lower Decks, where they visit Strange New Worlds timeline, and the other is a timey-wimey segment where they basically team up, and there will be segments where they do the Lower Decks era, where it's animated, and the Strange New Worlds era, where it is live action.
I think you're right. I hope you're right. But you know what? I also would not be opposed to a Who Framed Roger Rabbit type situation either. I mean, when does that happen? Besides that movie.
It's a little too zany for me. Cool World? Jesus, man. Everybody forgets about Cool World.
Cool World. What is that?
It's a terrible movie.
I've never even heard of it.
You know what? That's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
So I'm looking forward to that. It's one of those things where you're just like, how are they going to do that? I don't care. It's going to be amazing. But let's go on to what I think is going to be the really fun part of this episode, which is we're going to take a really close look at the Season 3 trailer that dropped at Comic-Con. And I'm going to do a bit of a shot-by-shot breakdown. And I've got a couple things. There's just so much crammed into this trailer that I'm sure we're going to be missing stuff. Like you were mentioning before we recorded that there was a shot, and you're just like, there's got to be stuff in here, but it's just, it's just too hard to pick out. There's 100% going to be things that we're missing. So just keep that in mind. If we're missing anything crazy, feel free to comment on the episode and tell us that you are a better Star Trek fan than us and can point out something really cool. So we're totally fine with it. But let's jump in.
All right. And it's important to realize that we are talking about this chronologically.
Yes. We're going to go start from the beginning.
Yes, which I think a lot of the scenes are out of order. Like, they're scenes from individual episodes, but they're not presented chronologically.
Yeah, I think that's something we learned from the Season 2 trailer, was that like all of these are just jam-packed with stuff from like across the entire season. So there's no reason to think just because things are next to each other chronologically that they are in any way related. So there's that. But let's start right at the beginning. The trailer opens with a Mariner like jumping to a vine holding like a little weird Klingon idol that instantly made me think of Indiana Jones, and she's getting shot at from the back by someone, and she looks like she's having a good time. I think it's very close to her Earth outfit, but I think it's a little bit different. I think it's slightly different. It's got to be from a different scene.
Here is my theory.
Is this a Indiana Jones ripoff?
Yes, 100%. And here's my theory. So in this scene, she's wearing a adventurous outfit, and we know this because she has a vest with pockets. But in a later scene...
That means adventure.
Yes. Vest with pocket always means adventure. Jesus, dude. Obviously, man. I don't even know why I do this podcast with you. You're just clueless. But there's a later scene in this trailer where we see a job fair. And next to the Starfleet booth is an archaeology booth. And while Starfleet, as the boring, nerdy, straightforward, here's a job that'll be a good career for you, the archaeologist is all like, she's got her feet up on the table, there's cool kitschy shit all over her tent, like she's the cool one. So I think that's going to lead to a fight between Mariner and the archaeologist, where Mariner's all like, yeah, well, I mean, we do archaeology in Starfleet and other stuff. And she's going to reference, like, Picard being an archaeologist and shit. And that's going to lead to her archaeological adventure, to show the archaeologist up.
I love it. It makes total sense. Although Mariner advocating Starfleet is a little out of character, but you know what? I could totally believe it if she's trying to show someone up. So let's move on. Not even a second later, at the 1 second mark, we get the shot of Boimler holding a phaser rifle, wearing some kind of Klingon sash, and like smearing mud on his face. And it definitely screams 80s action movie.
Oh, yeah.
And it's one of many shots that are like Klingon related.
Okay, so the thing that this immediately reminded me of was the movie Predator.
Yes.
And that immediately made me think it's probably from the Boimler Gets Hunted episode. And this is him finally just accepting the battle. And he's all like, yeah, let's do this.
And he gets owned.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, no, great scene. Hopefully it actually is not done.
Yeah. But again, at the 1 second mark, these shots are fast and furious. We get a good view of all of the main 4 characters in their Earth outfits. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but a really good shot of the Rutherford sweater in that shot. So
the amazing Rutherford sweater.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that they need to put that up for sale. It's going to be on Etsy. Someone's going to make it and put it on Etsy for sure. But let's move on to the 10 second mark. There is the shot that you mentioned at the hiring fair where Boimler and Mariner are at a Starfleet recruitment booth. You can see barely on the left side of the shot there's some kind of Spock photo booth where you stick your face through and you can be Spock. And it's funny, Mariner says the prepare for Warp 10 excitement, and thanks to TrekCore on Twitter, They discovered the extremely deep cut, apparently on the novelization of the Wrath of Khan. On the back of the book, the tagline is "Prepare yourself for Warp 10 excitement," which is exactly what Mariner says. I mean, that's a deep cut even for me. I thought it was just a funny line, but thanks to Trek Core, they showed me how deep a cut it was.
You know, when I was telling you this after we first watched this trailer, that, like, I feel like this scene is full of, like, deep cuts.
Totally.
All of the boosts. So, like, there's this weird, like, at the very end, like circular booth with, like, a round circle on the front. And I swear I've seen that, but I can't place it. At the far end, next to what I think is the Vulcan booth, which I don't know what, like, a Vulcan job fair would involve. There is this weird, like, bronze structure there with a purple guy standing out front, and I swear I've seen that before too, and I just can't place it.
There's so many characters in that shot, though, the establishing shot. There's got to be tons of stuff in there. I think I spotted some of the crystal alien people from the first season.
Yes.
There's some of those guys in there.
But you know what? There's also right before the scene you were talking about with the Spock cutout, there's a wide shot of the booth, which, I mean, it's got a number of stuff in there. There's an Antedon in the background. Oh, God, there's an alien in the foreground who I cannot place his race to save my life. But there's also this weird dude with, like, these gold ribbons going around his head. And it kills me that I cannot remember where we've seen this guy. It's an original series callback, but I can't tell if it's original series or animated series. But I know I've seen this guy before, and it's just killing me that I can't remember from where. My Trek lore is failing me.
Well, if any of our listeners know, tweet us at Lower Dorks and tell us who the gold ribbon alien is. We want to know.
We're going to look like
Aaron will not sleep.
Huge idiots.
I mean, that's already the case, so we're fine.
Well, no, I'm used to you looking like a huge idiot, but me, that's not
this case
thing.
You can both. We'll be on equal ground. It'll be fine. Let's move on. At the 16-second mark, there is the Federation News Network reporter. I thought this was interesting just because I don't think we've ever seen a TV view of a reporter before. I think the only reporter we've seen is Jake Sisko, and no actual newscaster shots. So it's interesting that it'll now be canon that there's some kind of Federation News Network reporting show.
It's the FNN, News of the Galaxy, is their slogan. I like that as a title.
Very Federation-centric, huh?
Yep.
These things happen.
But they also have, like, the scroll at the bottom.
Yes.
And there's one, and you only see a part of it, and it says, "Sisters from Active Duty Starships." What does that mean? What is the other part of that statement?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I do want to know.
I want to see
how
that
much will they show us in the
full crawl.
We'll have to analyze that when the episode actually comes out.
And, of course, the Buffalo Solar Knights. What's going on with the Buffalo Solar Knights? And what are they eclipsing?
I imagine that it's a sports team of some kind.
I'm betting, yeah, unfortunately.
Let's see, but not 4 seconds later, at the 20-second mark, at Cisco's Creole Kitchen makes an appearance. That's where Rutherford and Tendi are having dinner. I love that apparently, even though the show takes place on Earth, the show is doing nothing to add Earth-based locations. And it's kind of always been a joke of Star Trek that, like, if the show has locations on Earth, it's in only one of a very few select places. And the fact that Cisco's kitchen shows up just makes it even more hilarious.
You know what, though? I don't think... I know it's a big gag, but, like, I don't think that's necessarily true. We see lots of locations on Earth. Like, Cisco's is, obviously been visited because it was an important part of some episodes. But we visit Picard's Vineyard. We visit Sandrine's at one point, even though it's only a holodeck recreation.
Sure.
We visit not just Federation headquarters. We also have visited Starfleet Academy. We've visited the office of the president of the Federation. There's lots of locations they've been to. It's just there's not really a lot of purpose in, like, visiting random places. Ooh, you know what? In Enterprise, they visited Florida. Who would have ever guessed that Star Trek would go to Florida? I mean, I don't even want to go to Florida. I suspect most Floridans don't want to go to Florida.
Don't want to go to Florida.
But
Yeah, I
Star
think you're
Trek
right.
went there.
I think they went to Brazil in Enterprise too, right? Isn't that where Archer goes to pick up...
Oh, jeez, this is turning into an Enterprise episode. Let's move on before things go bad.
Yes, let's do that. The next shot I thought was fun was at the 34-second mark. It's an establishing shot in front of a waterfall.
Whoa, wait, hold on a second. We're going to roll
Yeah.
back here. You're going to skip
Okay.
over the best part of the Cisco's scene,
Oh, what's the best part?
where Mariner comes in with the perfectly timed quip, and Rutherford asks her if she was just standing outside waiting for it. I love that, because that is the only way that moment ever works. And the fact that they are calling it out, and it was
It's so
accurate.
meta.
You know, and then it
Yeah.
also does this great job of setting up Boimler's new attitude. Because they're like,
Yes.
yeah, she was totally doing that.
You're totally right. Yes. Yeah, it totally fits the... I mean, we already knew Boimler was starting to be a badass.
I mean, the real question,
last
though,
season.
is Boimler in that scene is drinking a drink. Where did he get the
Yes.
drink?
I imagine there's like a bar at the front of the restaurant, and they were just like hanging out at the bar and waiting for Rutherford to say something that Mariner could just bust in at. They just ordered a couple cocktails.
I am betting in the world of Star Trek, like, if you don't have to make money, like, there's probably bars and restaurants everywhere that are just, like,
Right.
only open occasionally, because,
Sure.
yeah, you don't need to make money, so you don't have to pay rent, so follow your dreams and don't risk anything,
That's right.
you know?
Work 3 days a year. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Well, I want to talk about the turtle birds. Let's go back to the time index 34 seconds with the establishing shot in front of the waterfall and the turtle birds. You know, there's no context. We don't know anything about them, but they're flying creatures that are in turtle shells.
Yeah, I don't know why you're focused on this. There's, like, 3 scenes between the turtle birds and the last scene. And you just skip over all of them
Yes.
because you're like, turtle birds? Turtle birds? Like, I mean,
It's true.
ignoring, like, how ridiculous that biology is, like, unless this planet is, like, super low gravity, those turtle birds are not going to be able to fly.
Maybe they're like made of styrofoam weighted. They're not very thick shells. We need to get a biologist on this show to talk about the turtle birds.
You know what? Good luck with that. I'm going to leave that to you.
Okay.
But yeah,
thank you.
there's also,
Appreciate
like,
that.
plenty of other cool scenes. Like, you get to see one of the star bases, which is very much the... God, that starbase has shown up in, like, every series, you know, with the central bulb and the weird pads all around it. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you also get the ransom line. Starfleet isn't all about getting fed fruit by exotic aliens with weird forehead
And then we
ridges.
literally see that happen.
Yes!
Yeah. So here's the thing. At the 34-second mark, we get the Billups and Rutherford getting pampered by orange people. Have we seen those orange people before? I cannot place that.
I want to say there were orange aliens in TOS, but they were like background aliens.
Okay. It's got to be a reference, I feel like.
I don't think it
It's
really
gotta be.
matters.
They're not just tan.
So I've though realized my Rutherford Billups ship has changed now. It's no longer a romance; it's a bromance.
Okay.
They're going to be best friends and
Okay.
have adventures together, and that's what I hope for.
Okay. I think that's a very reasonable expectation.
Indeed.
They're all equals in this shot. Like, despite the rank gap, they're both getting pampered by orange people, so
Indeed.
it's very possible. Moving on to the 44-second mark, they show the naked Cerritos, the holoplatingless Cerritos, being stolen. I think that's what's going on in the scene. And it's hilarious because it shows these Starfleet guys going like, oh no, they're stealing the Cerritos. And in that shot, the Earth is in the background. And apparently they just put the Cerritos in a space dock in Earth orbit, and that's where they steal it from?
Yeah.
They make this big deal about like, well, where's the Cerritos?
Well, that's why they go find Rutherford, because he knows where it is. But here's the better part. Like, what's going on with the crew that they can't just look it up in a Starfleet database? Have they been booted, too? Are they no longer active duty? That's the real question.
That's what it makes it seem like, because they're on forced leave, basically.
Yeah.
I still think Mariner is by stealing the ship is like screwing up Starfleet Intelligence or Section 31's plan to foil the pact.
Yeah, well, that's my theory, and I hope that's what winds up happening.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's all callback to Search for Spock. You know, that's
Totally.
what they're trying to do. But I do also want to comment on another angle of this scene. There is a guy who is playing 3D chess. One of the guys in this scene, the dude with the curly hair,
Right.
they do another shot viewing them from the outside of whatever room they're in. And he's got a 3D chess going in the background on his computer.
You got to bring back the 3D chess. You know, they like to have like the random little things in Lower Decks, and it's always been like appetizers or random things like the DS9 model, if you remember that.
Yes.
It's nice to get. It's like a real thing, but it's on a computer, which just makes it even more funny, I think.
Indeed.
Very meta.
Well, I just like the fact that he's on the job at work, but he's actually playing. Like, come on, that is such a thing that people do.
Oh, completely. But on to the 49-second mark, we get the intro of some voice talent from Deep Space Nine, Martok, with his eye missing and everything, screaming at the
Martok! Yes!
Is he going to? Are they going to save him just for the DS9 episode? Do you think? Because there's
No.
obviously some other Klingon stuff happening. In this season.
Yes, I think that is wrong. I think you are connecting two things. And for me to explain this, move on to the next scene after this.
Okay. Yeah, at the 50-second mark, right after the Martok, we get this celebration shot of the four main characters, and they're all like wielding Klingon weapons, and it looks like they're kind of in like Klingon cosplay or something.
So, two things going on in this scene. First off, they're all eating chips and guac, which immediately has, made me realize all of the main characters have terrible taste. But
Wow.
they also...
You're hating on chips and guac.
Chips are fine. Guac is terrible, man.
You're a maniac. Get out of here.
You know what? I'm fine being a maniac with taste. Thank you. But there is another thing on the table, which appears to be some sort of game board. And in front of that game board is a screen. Theory, Martok is actually a character in an equivalent to the Klingon VCR game from the 90s. And
Oh my
it's just
God.
Martok instead of Gowron, and that's what they're playing.
I love it. Although, if you recall, the board game, the board from that game was just a map of the Enterprise.
You know what,
So,
Stavros?
but you could be onto
Stop
something.
raining on my parade.
I'm just pointing out. You shit on chips and guac. I gotta make critiques about.
Yeah, because I shit on things that are terrible, whereas you shit on blood memories from our childhood. You will experience
Those could be
beige.
terrible. Experience beige. Oh no, low malfunction.
Oh my
Give me your
God.
favorite. Anyway.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
I think you mean amazing. Anyway, let's go to the next shot. At the 51-second mark, it's got the text "A Search for Adventure" over it. You get one of several shots of the Delta Flyer. I don't know if it's the Delta Flyer or just if there's a Delta Flyer class by this point.
Well,
It's kind
but
of
here's the
unknown.
thing. We've seen the Delta Flyer plenty of times in the series, and we even previously had theorized that it turned out the Delta Flyer was just such a great design that Starfleet adopted it, right?
Right. Yeah.
But
It's possible. But don't you think it might be the Delta Flyer with this level of focus on it?
could be. Or a recreation, like the Lower Deckers rebuild the Delta Flyer. Because there's a follow-up scene to this, but I want to point something out. The Delta Flyer is chasing another starship in this scene. And both of them are flying through this, row of, weird glowing beacons.
Yes. Very reminiscent of the Voyager episode, the racing one.
Yeah, which is, as you pointed out, the very next scene.
Right. At the 52-second mark, we get a shot of Rutherford in what appears to be a racing uniform from that Voyager episode, whose name escapes me at the moment. But they made the costumes just for that one episode, and they were never seen again, except for in Lower Decks.
Well, I mean, they weren't needed again.
I'm just saying, why put the production value? This is one of my pet peeves. They don't want to upgrade everyone's uniform to the First Contact uniform, but making racing uniforms, that's fine.
It's 2 uniforms.
I'm not getting all upset about it.
2 uniforms. It's an afternoon for a seamstress. Cut some slack. But I think that episode was called Drive, right? Which was just funny.
Drive. Sounds familiar.
Because it's a racing episode in space. They're not driving. They're flying. Come on, people.
Go back to 1998 and critique those Voyager.
But
writers
there's
for
this
talking
really
about that.
brief cutaway to those 2 ships flying side by side through a ring of a gas giant, which kind of makes me
Right.
think that, yeah, this is going to be a racing episode.
Totally. There's actually another shot of that later in the trailer. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Talk about that second ship.
Yep.
But just a few seconds
Oh,
later,
God,
we
this
get
scene.
54-second mark. Yes. There must be an episode about aliens reading people's thoughts and giving them their nightmares, because there's a clear angle of nightmare Klingon clowns. So it's funny when you freeze frame it, you get to see a lot more detail. They have like batleths for arms,
Yes.
basically. Or like batleths mounted to their arms and red wigs and with white face paint. Just makes me laugh looking at them. It's
They
crazy.
are hilarious. There's actually another scene that this is referenced to where they drop crystals on the ground, and it's all like, oh no, the crystals, like, I don't even remember, animate your nightmares or whatever. And Rutherford is all like, but I don't like my nightmares.
I don't like it.
So
good.
I'm trying to guess, because we see several clips of this, right? So
Yes.
you've got this one with Klingons with batless for arms, the Klingon clowns. But there's also
Right.
in the background like a weird purple, I don't even know what that thing is. It's got
Some
like
other alien or
tentacles
something. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
is that like a reference to something, or?
I don't think so. I think it must just be a custom alien, because I don't recognize it.
Yeah, but I feel like this also turns up later in the trailer where we see more of
Yes.
these things.
Do we need more Nightmare Klingon clowns? Probably not.
Everyone needs more Nightmare Klingon clowns.
You know what you need more of is the next shot I pulled from at the 58-second mark of Ransom just tearing his shirt off and being all glistening and sweaty, and Mariner just completely devouring him from behind.
You know what? Is
Right,
that
yes.
what's going on?
I feel like yes, they need to follow up on this romance.
I don't even think it's necessarily romance. I think she's just hot for him, and who wouldn't be?
What should we call it?
You know?
This must be yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's no romance involved, just hot monkey sex.
You saw this part in the trailer. You're like, that's my boy. That's my Ransom.
Indeed.
Well, let's move on to the 1 minute and 4 second mark.
Oh wait, we're skipping over something here.
Oh, what are we skipping?
At the 1 minute, 3 second mark? Not 3 seconds. Where is this scene? Oh, it's the 59-second mark. So I guess we're a little bit
Okay.
further. It's the crew, the lower deckers in their Earth outfits, on the bridge of the Cerritos. And I assume this is when they're leaving space dock. But something is happening
Right.
here where Boimler and Mariner are mortified, and Tendi is just like, oh yeah, this is wonderful.
I missed that on my
I
viewing.
just really
That's great.
want to know what's going on in this scene, because it is amazing.
You can't see what she's so excited about. She's just really into
Indeed.
something.
And then another scene at 1 minute 2, we get Billups having a complete breakdown, and Shax's just not
Yes.
having any of it.
Yes, that is true.
I love.
Doesn't Billups like slap Shax in that scene?
I love the fact that like
For some
he
reason.
slaps Shax, and it's such a like pansy half-ass slap, and then Shax is just like, "Oh God, this is my life." Like, just fantastic facial animation there.
Doing Miglimo's job.
Indeed.
Doing the counselor's job. I love it. Well, all right. Well, should we go to the 1 minute 4 second mark with Captain Freeman's
Crazy
experience with some
Freeman?
puppies? So what's going on? I feel like this is a red herring for what's going on with Captain Freeman right now. This has got to be a different episode than her standing trial.
So here's the thing. There's another scene of this. Her in that outfit where they're like locking her in some sort of case. And she's like, what are you people doing? And they do it
Right.
anyways. And then it's
Right.
her on board the station with the puppies going crazy. I don't know. I don't know what the heck's going on there. I feel like that is a continuation of the Freeman trial scene. Like they find her
You think so?
not guilty by reason of insanity, so they send her to some, therapy farm or some nonsense.
Send her to the farm.
But
I don't know if they handle standard insanity. Though.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on here, and I feel like I'm probably wrong in my guess. Maybe this will be like a TNG callback to the episode where aliens are trying to make Riker think that he's crazy, so he'll reveal the secrets of the Enterprise or something.
Right. It could be.
I don't know.
It could be.
We'll see.
Not enough information. The puppies are all cute, though. Look how big they made their eyeballs.
Yeah,
So
I
cute.
know. So yeah, what is that? TLI? Too little information?
Yeah, TLI.
TLI!
Come on, Mike. Give us something
Trademark Lower Dorks, 2022.
TLI. But you know what's not TLI is Cranch in the very next shot, 105, popping through a ceiling panel and chasing after Boimler. I say Cranch because I assume it's Cranch, the one that the monster that was alluded to in the Entertainment Weekly.
You know, it really, really reminds me of the aliens from Mass Effects. The, what are they? His facial features.
Oh.
What the heck are those?
The Turians.
Turians,
right?
yes.
Yes.
Very much reminds me of them.
Mm.
I don't know. It's just something about the facial features. Like, do you see it?
Yeah. I think so, yes. They've got this, like, the side bones or something.
Yeah.
Something about the facial structure.
I mean, the body type is all wrong. Like, the body type is...
It's all cat-like.
Not even...
With the huge torso.
Yeah, the huge torso, the, massive bulk, the legs that are whatever they're called when they have the multi-jointed...
Yes.
Come on, Stavros. What are those called? Look it up.
The fancy legs. That's what they're called.
They're not called fancy legs, dude. Nice try.
No, I totally know what you're talking about.
But also interesting is he has a wide variety of weapons. He's got a sword, a glaive, a spear. He appears to be stabbing Boimler with a knife of some variety. And you know what?
Yes.
Like, the scene looks like he actually stabs Boimler.
Yeah.
I mean, so, he's joining the club with Mariner as somebody who has...
Yeah. Getting stabbed.
Yeah.
Got to get that scar. The scar collection that Mariner has. He's working on his own.
Well, I was thinking more of the fact that in the pilot episode, Mariner stabbed Boimler.
Oh, stabs him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I guess she doesn't stab him. She cuts him. Cuts a chunk off his leg.
Yeah. It was pretty graphic, as I recall. You could see the muscles and everything.
Yeah,
like... Gross.
Oh, wait. I just realized he's not actually stabbing him. He's just cutting through his uniform.
Oh, just through his uniform. There's no blood?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Maybe he's fine. Maybe Boimler doesn't die in that episode. But speaking of extreme violence, I want to go to 1 minute and 10 second mark where Dr. T'Ana has a Starfleet issue chainsaw and is about to chainsaw a dude's foot off because there's a monster on his foot.
Yes.
I don't know what the hell's going on there.
I love the design of the chainsaw, right? It has it's not even like a normal chainsaw. It has like a gun type handle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, just amazing design. And I love how she's not like calm about it or anything. She's all like yelling like ah! As she cut. Effing amazing.
It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
Continues the tradition of putting the Starfleet Delta on freaking everything.
Oh geez, yeah, it's on the chainsaw as well.
Which means that Starfleet issued chainsaws for some reason.
They're medical chainsaws, obviously.
I mean, obviously.
I mean,
if you have the medical rifle,
yeah,
you
exactly.
need the medical chainsaw.
Rifle, medical chainsaw. What's next? Medical mortar.
I mean, we can't discount their existence.
I mean, you can discount their existence. They don't.
Oh god. Okay, well let's continue going. The 1 minute and 15 seconds, Mariner is parachuting down something which is very reminiscent of the Star Trek 2009 reboot film where they parachute down the mining drill platform thing.
This, I am wondering...
Gotta be a reference.
I am wondering if... Because, in the background of the shot after she bounces off the thing, you can see another one in the background. Which, at first I assumed this is going to wind up being, some sort of space elevator. Right?
It's like a tower, right?
Yeah, but it's not. It's just like a tower, and there's this big bulbous thing at the top. I have no idea what that is.
TLI. TM.
TM. TLI TM. I do love, though.
Yes, we need to know more.
That she just bounces off of the wall. It's amazing.
It's better. Do you remember in that film the overconfident dude?
Who winds up dying,
horribly dies. Yeah,
completely gratuitous death. And the worst part is, that scene didn't even make it feel more serious, more high stakes. It just made you think,
it's oh shit.
Oh yeah, some Starfleet officers are just incompetent assholes, just like real life.
Yeah, they need to get on top of their training. They just can't just have people being all incompetent like that. Anyway, let's go on to 1 minute and 19 seconds.
Let's not.
Do you have another one?
Yeah, I got another one.
Okay.
There is a scene with Mariner on the bridge crying, and the rest of the crew is all standing around comforting her.
What's the time index on that?
That is 1:16. And you know what? I don't know what's going on. Don't care. I just like the scene.
of Mariner suffering.
Of Mariner suffering. It's interesting, though. You can see a planet in the background, so it's like, I think this is they're trying to steal the Cerritos, and they fail. I get the feeling like this is going to be a whole like search for Spock moment where they steal the Cerritos, and they get it out of space dock, and they go to warp, and warp drive immediately fails.
Good morning, Captain.
Yes. But, you know, we'll see.
I hope so.
We'll see what happens. It's just that was an interesting image that I thought probably meant something.
Exciting.
Yeah, and then, of course, you get the weird whirlpool scene with Tendi in her underwear and Mariner in her underwear.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to even make of that.
Yeah, like, there's no context to where we can conclude anything, but...
Just screaming. There's Jack Quaid screaming in that clip.
There's Jack Quaid screaming in most episodes.
That's true. That dude's vocal cords have got to be, you know, reinforced. He's done a lot of screaming in his time.
Well, you know, I mean, it's voice acting. I imagine you're just not screaming all the time. All right, this is take 29, Jack Quaid screaming.
You got to modulate the screams. You got to do a little higher, a little lower, a little longer, a little shorter.
I bet by now they just have like a default Jack Quaid screaming sound set.
They've got to have.
It's like they got a soundboard and they just insert it when they need it.
Yeah, they must. They have like a bank. They banked them. But I want to talk about ships.
Yes,
at the 1 minute 19 mark. We get another shot of the Delta Flyer, a couple shots, and it's super hard to see. But if you freeze frame at the right point, there's a shot with a Directive in the background, a Romulan Directive.
Yes, and the other vessel. I think this is the racing scene, right? Where probably the Delta Flyer and whatever other ship that is in the foreground is going to be like their competition in the race. It's a really neat design. Yeah. But it's interesting because initially I had actually completely reversed it, right? I had thought that it was flying towards the Directive, but it's actually flying away.
They're flying away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which means it has this really big bubble butt.
Yeah, it's got a huge butt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
like a skinny head and a huge butt.
Yeah. Really interesting design. I'm looking forward to seeing what that thing is.
It's got to be small, too, right? Because it's hard to tell from the perspective. There's another shot where both ships are flying towards the bottom part of the frame.
Probably, like,
it's small.
Volume-wise, it's slightly larger than the... Actually, not volume-wise. Volume-wise, it's probably slightly smaller than the Delta Flyer, but, like, space-wise, it's, like, spread out more.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Really intrigued to see what that thing is. I'm really interested. I kind of like the design.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be some kind of hot rod. You know, it doesn't have all of the science junk that the Delta Flyer has. Yeah. It's like built for speed or something.
Yep.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to seeing what that is. And of course, I think I know what you're going to next, but you're skipping over a bunch of scenes.
Oh, tell me. What do you want to talk about?
So there's Mariner in the weird 0G room with the technology in the background. No idea what's going on there. So obviously that's why you skipped it over, because there's nothing to talk about there.
There's nothing to talk about, yeah.
But there is also the Tendi running through the hallway. But what I noticed about this episode, or the scene rather, is she's got some weird tech device in her hand. But in the background, there's a mix of Cerritos and TNG movie era uniforms in the background.
Interesting.
So I'm like, this has got to be the DS9 episode. Which definitely plays into the whole, it's a Tendi-centric episode. But it's just, I don't know how they would make that work.
Yeah, it's tough. TLI.
TLI.
Was there more, or should we move on to the TNG masks reference? Yes. At the 1 minute 21 second mark, there's a shot of Captain Freeman with a thing on her face that looks very reminiscent of the masks, TNG episode masks that Data wears.
Going full crazy with power in this scene, though.
Yeah. Like, is this another, like, Ransom gets power and it goes to his head type thing, or is she being hijacked by aliens or something here, do you think?
Yeah, I think she's being hijacked by aliens. There's no other reason to make that visual callback.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah.
That's gotta be it.
Be interesting to see, though, what happens in that episode. You know, it's probably going to turn out to be, like, one of those Q callbacks, where it, like, has no bearing on the episode. It's just like a cutaway gag.
Yeah. Has Lower Decks historically done cutaway gags?
Oh my god.
Not really.
A little bit. What if this is the lead-in to her going to the crazy farm where
Oh.
her exposure to the mask. Because that was one of the things that always bothered me about that episode, where Picard basically lives that life because he encounters that probe and it downloads the memories of its homeworld. That's got to
He just goes back to work the next day.
Yeah, he goes back to work the next day. And you're like, yeah, no, he lived an entire life. He had family, friends. He, like, watched his greatest achievement in life be a failure. Like, that's going to fuck with him. Like, he is not just going back to being Picard tomorrow. Like,
definitely not.
That is some...
There's all kinds of places where that's shown up. Like, isn't Voyager where isn't that Harry Kim gets like locked in a jail for X years, and it's the same situation where like just a few hours have passed.
You know what though? They've done some really good like exploration of trauma and people's responses to it. Voyager has one of my like standout captain moments where Janeway tells Harry Kim after he has this like really traumatic experience. It's all like, you need to take some time off. He's like, no, I'm fine. She's like, no, you're not. Like, you never really see that where it's all like a captain trying to tell somebody to deal with their shit. You also have the episode Family. Or is it Family?
Yes.
Where Picard goes home to... It's one of my favorite episodes. Can never remember the name. And basically has his brother, like, convince him to, you know, go back and be like, you're not a different man. Fantastic episode. They have the episode where O'Brien is in the fantasy prison, and when he gets out, like, his experience there have traumatized him. Episodes like that are just, like, really fantastic, and you don't see that too often. I would love it if this episode turns out to be the comedy version of that.
I love it, yeah. What a great, you know, we talked about before, this show is partial comedy, partial, like, serious Star Trek, so totally, I would love to see
I would actually love to see it if Freeman isn't traumatized by the experience. She's like, yeah.
She's fine.
That wasn't me. That was an alien entity that took me over. And Starfleet is all like, we're going to send you to get some mental health care. She's like, no, you don't get it. I'm fine. I know that wasn't me. And like,
force her to take time off.
She just kind of goes nuts dealing with their care. And that's why she seems crazy in the puppy room. She's
dealing
all like,
with puppies, yeah.
I'm fine. I
need
puppies.
to get back to work.
Let me go back to work.
I love it. Anyway, well, TLI, one way or the other.
One way or the other.
Let's go to the next scene, the next shot, 122.
The 122? What? No, you're skipping 121.
What? Oh, there's more of 121 you want to cover?
Yeah, there's the shuttle crash. Yeah. It's just a shuttle crash. It's awesome. I love shuttle crashes.
Yeah, it's well animated, actually. Like, bits break off and stuff.
Yeah, I keep wanting to watch it, like, frame by frame to try and see, like, what the name of the shuttle is. Is it the Sequoia that's crashing? I don't know.
I don't think it shows. I tried doing the same thing. No, I tried looking for the name, and I don't think
Well, I'm glad one of us went frame by frame, because I didn't. I'm pretty lazy.
Unless I'm wrong, you know, somebody on the internet's probably like, excuse me, it is totally the Sequoia. In which case, you know what? Comment on the episode and tell us why we were wrong. I'm fine with it.
Or don't. We don't really care. We do this for ourselves.
We're not your mom.
Because we're well adjusted. Okay.
Let's talk about Screaming Peanut Hamper in the next shot, 122.
Indeed.
There's obviously going to be... It's unclear if it's like an episode dealing with Peanut Hamper being terrible because she is.
Or like just some like cutaway gag or something.
Yeah.
Interesting though, in the background it has the TOS, the motion picture, weird like streaking lights. That isn't the traditional warp speed in the background.
Right. What do you suppose that could be?
Yeah, I have no idea what that means. And of course, Peanut Hamper appears to be in some sort of weird like collection of junk. I'm wondering if maybe this is going to tie in to the whole Freeman getting exonerated arc, and Peanut Hamper has been like plugged into a pack-led ship or some nonsense.
It could be. Last we saw Peanut Hamper, she was in close proximity to a pack-led ship, so
floating through space.
It is totally possible, indeed. But the next several shots are like a rapid fire, and I don't think I picked out all of them. But at 123, there is a shot of it's not even clear which character this is, but he's got, I don't know, like psychedelic spikes coming out of his face. Like what the hell is even going on there?
Yeah,
I kind of think that might be Boimler, but it's unclear.
Yeah, it's hard to say in animation. You know what? The nose kind of makes me think it's Boimler because he has the very downward pointy nose. Whereas if it was like Rutherford, he has the very straight nose, and I think Tendy's nose is more rounded.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. But I think it's going to be somebody who is hallucinating due to whatever alien mist they're exposed to.
He's just like on drugs.
Yeah, I think this is probably going to be the nightmare
That's
episode.
your guess? Very well could be. But I think one of the very next shots, still at 123, is God. What's the guy's name? The ransom fanboy.
Oh, Steven.
Stevens. Yeah, Stevens. He's like running away from Quetzalcoatl that we've seen in the animated series episode, How Sharper Than a Serpent's Tooth.
Like, they didn't call him Quetzalcoatl. He was like Kula something or another.
He had a different name.
But it was basically It's weird, though, that they went with that. Because, like, people know Quetzalcoatl. They don't know...
Kukulkan.
Kukulkan, yes.
Kukulkan, yes.
But he was famously the alien that made his starship look like himself because he's a huge narcissist.
Right. It's just funny. What a weird little callback. Why is Stevens... is this a nightmare from Stevens?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Like, why is this Stevens' nightmare? Like, Kukulkan wasn't even, like, evil or anything. He was just kind of a weirdo, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. But it's interesting to see him show up there. Yet more animated series references that we have insufficient context to really understand.
Yep.
But there it is.
TLI.
That's right.
But yeah, then following on from that, though, there's a bunch of really just, like, weird scenes of people standing around. Why include scenes of people standing around in your trailer? But there's also a pretty good scene where, like a bunch of people are running out of a cave carrying crystals like they were rifles.
Yes.
Like, what is going on with that? Jump to conclusion, like, my assumption is this is that same weird nightmare planet, but probably wrong. We usually are.
Yeah, hard to say. TLI going on there. But popping ahead to 1 minute 25, there's a shot of Rutherford exiting a shot. And if you look, I mean, you know me, I'm obsessed with weird details.
Weird details? No, you're obsessed with clothing, dude. I think you miss your true calling as a fashion designer.
Fashion critic, I think. I don't know if I can actually design anything. But Rutherford is wearing a uniform that we haven't seen before. It looks very reminiscent of a First Contact era uniform, but there are some differences. They're at the shoulder, beneath the gray color.
Yeah, it's just a strip of pure white stripe rather than the lighter gray that you usually see.
Yeah. So what do you think is up with this? Is this a First Contact evolution of the uniform or something? Or
no effing clue, dude. I am lost.
Yeah. TLI?
Yeah, don't know what's going on here. I'm hoping we get like a time travel episode, though, where like they travel around to a bunch of different eras, and this is one of the eras they go to. But there's other stuff going on in this scene, too. Like, there's some weird Jack Preacher up on a podium. Like, just sermonizing. Like, what's going on with that? There's this weird, like, alien cat lizard thing that's, like, turning to look at Rutherford running away. But even more than that, Rutherford seems super happy about whatever's going on here.
That is true.
So many questions. No idea what's going on.
No idea. All I can do is fixate on weird fashion details. So, there's that.
Yes, indeed. Oh, wait, you know what? I just realized there's another thing.
Oh.
As the scene goes along, you see Boimler and Mariner in cloaks in this scene.
Yeah, they seem like they're disguised or something.
Yeah.
It's unclear what's going on.
But they're turning to look at Rutherford, and Boimler seems pissed about what's going on, and Mariner is, like, cheering him on. Like, what is going on? So many questions.
We don't know. There's a lot of TLI happening right now.
I'm betting this is going to be on the planet with the crystals, so we'll see what happens.
Oh, they're going to go back to the crystal planet?
Well, I mean, not necessarily that planet, but it looks like there's going to be a new planet with crystals this season.
Oh.
Crystals.
That's a lot of crystal motif for one show.
You know what? It's a crystal planet a season, and everything's fine.
Fair enough. Let's go to your favorite, the Cetacean Ops shot. Your favorite locale on the entire ship that you wish you never saw. But, hilariously, so I did a little frame-by-frame shot here. So here's what I think is going on in this scene. I think this is the Cranch episode with Boimler getting chased.
And something is chasing him.
Yeah, it looks like a glowing batarang. It's like a little glowing batter. It totally looks like a batter. It's got to be in one of Cranch's little, like if you look at the shot, he's just got like equipment all over his back and stuff. Yeah. He just must have like a utility belt. Yeah, where he's got stuff throwing it.
And Boimler's outfit is like totally torn here too. So you know they've been doing battle. But I love the fact that belugas, they're all like, "Hey man, don't jump in here with dirty shoes." absolutely love that.
Yeah, that's great. But more Cranch is what I'm getting from that one. And let's see, moving on at the 1 minute 30 second mark, there is a shot of what I assume is the Nightmare episode. So it's very brief, but there's a shot of 3 characters. On the left is a clown Klingon with batleth arms, like
playing
blowing a horn.
Trombone.
On the right is the tentacle monster. Is that a trombone or a horn? It's one of those
It's
things.
a trombone,
it's a horn
dude.
instrument of some kind.
It's a trombone.
Okay,
Jesus,
trombone.
dude.
Okay.
Trombone! Fine. How do you not know a trombone? Oh my god, Jesus.
Anyway, on the right is the tentacle monster with it's like a snake. I don't know what the hell
It's got
it is.
a weird
It's
long
monster.
tongue, and it's like, is it like licking something out of like a glass?
I
or
don't
is it
know.
like
it's hard.
playing
It's too hard
a
to
musical instrument? I don't know what's going on there. That's weird.
It would suit the scene if it's also playing a musical instrument, because in the middle of the scene of the shot is what looks like a werewolf,
An Andorian
but it's blue
werewolf.
and has antennas.
Yeah, it's an Andorian
werewolf. So
werewolf.
is it Jen?
Oh, Jen Wolf. Yeah, yeah, because she's got boobs.
Jen Wolf.
It's probably Jen as a werewolf. That's probably Mariner's
Oh, and a
nightmare.
Borg snake.
A Borg snake.
Yeah, a Borg snake.
A Borg
yeah.
snake is
also in
probably
this one.
Boimler's nightmare. The clowns are Rutherford's nightmare, which means that the purple monster must be Mariner's.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
weird thing about the purple monster in this scene, though, it's wearing shoes. Did you notice this?
No, I didn't
Why
notice
is
that.
it
You told me
wearing
right.
shoes?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh my god. I want to know what the purple
amazing.
monster is, though. It's killing me.
Yeah, I thought the Gen monster and the Borg snake were pretty good. I feel like I need like a Borg snake plush or something just to have it around.
I'm not a fan of Borg snakes. Thank you.
I mean, who is really? But lastly, perhaps most significant part of the entire trailer is DS9 shows up. Really exciting. And they have to kill some time, so, Ransom's expert orders circle the pylons.
I love how, none of the lower deckers are actually in the scene on the bridge. They're all on the lower decks watching the approach.
Yeah.
And Tendi is, super excited, and everybody else is like, yeah, it's a space station.
You know what's funny is Casey, the helm officer that is very often on the bridge, is not there in this shot. It's some new character.
Yeah.
Before Casey was just kind of the throwaway helmsman, but now he's doing something else. Who knows what Casey's doing?
Yeah, I gotta do comment, though, on the new character that's drawn in there.
Okay.
Something just, is off about her. The drawing of her is just, wrong. None of the proportions seem right, and, her eyes aren't, they seem off. She's, her pupils are not in the proper location. Just, everything about the way she's drawn just seems wrong to me. And trust me, as a terrible artist, I have spent many, many hours picking out everything wrong with my own artwork, so I can always see it in other people's too. Do you see it? She just seems weird.
I don't know. You have the artistic eye. I'm not seeing it. I'm looking. She seems like a person.
I don't know. Just something about it. Everything seems wrong about her, shape and her eyes and her face, and her mouth seems out of place when she talks. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're seeing things. You're insecurities about your art are coming through.
focus. No, everything about her is wrong.
Well, you know what? You can tweet the art director and see if something comes of it.
I actually feel kind of bad that I've just spent the last minute just trashing on somebody else's artwork. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
We don't know anything. Don't believe anything we say.
Okay. Yes. So this is the arrival at DS9 encircling the pylon.
Yes. We knew about DS9, and of course you have to get the beauty shots of the pylons there. So,
which it goes back to, I've talked about just how great the space shots have, they've always been pretty good from the get go, but they just look really fantastic. This scene in particular is just beautiful.
DS9 looks great.
It's one of those where a lot of times it's very obviously animated, right? But
sure.
It's just, it's very, very beautiful. The wormhole looks terrible. I'm not going to lie about that.
Yeah, what's going on there? There's some kind of frame rate issue.
Yeah, and that's 100% what it is. It's just it does not have proper frame rates. Which is made worse by all the stuff in the foreground seems to be moving properly. So it's not just a, streaming issue.
Right.
or just like however this thing was put together, it seems like it's like an animation issue. And maybe they'll have it resolved by like the live episode. This may be something that was added in last minute.
Yeah, could be.
You know, but talking about their return to DS9, I was actually floored by how many of the cast were just like, DS9 is my favorite. DS9 is the best.
Yeah.
Because you don't see that as
kind of
much.
crazy.
It's always, you know, oh, I'm a TNG or I'm a Voyager fan. And DS9 is always kind of like the redheaded stepchild, where like those of us who are like, DS9 is the best, we're like the weird ones in the group.
Yeah. I've always said that it's kind of like, I'm too cool for other Star Treks. I like my DS9.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm cool.
And I remember talking to a guy at a convention where he explained to me why he didn't like DS9, and it kind of like illuminated why I'm such a fan of it. DS9 as a Star Trek show, and I think this is probably why I like Lower Decks a lot too, it's very meta, right? It does like this meta-analysis of like the realities of Star Trek. It makes meta references all throughout it. And I really like that type of fiction. So I think that's why it really appeals to me. Whereas other people, they just want straightforward, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Entertainment.
Without TOS or TNG, I probably never would have picked up on DS9.
Sure.
That's not true. I've watched like all of television sci-fi to some extent.
You would have gotten around to it eventually.
Eventually.
Yes. Well, very exciting, DS9 coming. I wonder if it's just going to be confined to the one episode, though. I'm a little bit worried that it is. I guess it makes the most sense that it's just going to be one episode, too, but part of me wants more.
You know, and it could be like DS9 winds up being like their home base, you know? That's just the region of space they're going to be in for this season.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's the season ender.
TLI.
Yeah. Too little information.
Yeah. Too little information. TM.
2022, Lower Decks. Wait, no, Lower Dorks! Damn it!
Lower Dorks. So close.
So close.
You know, it took a long ass time, but we finally finished our shot by shot almost analysis of the season 3 trailer. So we got under a month until season 3 shows up. So we're going to be talking a lot more about this show soon.
Yeah, lots more. Unless you want to talk about other things, huh? Let's just ramble on into the dark.
I mean, we could always do that too, right? People listen to that.
Sure.
You know what? I think our job here is done.
That's true. And, you know what? In that case, let's stall for time. Wait, no. Let's end the episode.
No, let's not do that.
And we'll come back later for reviews of actual episodes, rather than just rambling on about stuff nobody cares about. In the meantime, though, you can follow us on Twitter at Lower Dorks. Or you can gin up some fake Trek news and get Stavros to follow you on Twitter, because he'll believe anything.
It's true.